I'm not gonna wait for no venues. By January this year, people started coming out, even though it wasn't fully open. People was already out, kind of sort of in January. So I
Uh-huh.
was able to go out to the Boulevard or to Venice and still have a good crowd and tourists as well.
Our podcast is all about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. And I'm really excited to talk to you about this tour you're doing.
So yeah. Hey, thank
Super
you for
cool.
having me, first of all, Adam. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. I love what you're doing. It's really cool, really creative. I mean, by the way. So we'll
Yeah,
get into that in a
appreciate it.
minute. But tell me, first of all, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in PG County, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah, like born all the way, raised all the way, PG County, Maryland for literally my whole life. I just relocated to LA in 2018.
Oh,
But
okay. Because I know that you're doing the West Coast on this tour you're doing, right? From what I
yeah,
was
yeah, I'm
reading.
on the West
Okay.
Coast. Yeah, I
Okay.
moved around on the West Coast with it for sure.
So you recently moved there in 2018.
Yep, 2018. In June 2018 is when I made the move. I came to the studio here in 2017
Uh huh.
just to make a quick visit and see how it is, see how I like it. And I loved it, man. I'm like, at the end of the day, I love being around good energy,
Uh
good
huh.
vibes. And it's a lot of good energy, good vibes out here, and good weather too. So it's
Sure.
one of those places where I'm gonna start going back home like a little more often now.
Uh huh.
But it's definitely one of the places right now where I feel like this is where I need to be. I don't know if I'll be here forever, but I definitely love LA.
That's cool. I'm originally from Southern California, so I'm from San Diego, but I do
Okay, cool.
appreciate LA and Southern California. I moved within I moved here in February. I moved to Middle Tennessee to Nashville, so it's a bit
Oh,
different
you're
for
in
me
Nashville
here.
now.
Yeah,
Got
weather
you. Yeah,
wise, I kind of left the perfect 70 and sunny weather to now I'm actually seeing seasons and rain and
right,
humidity and all
right,
that out
right.
here, but I like it.
Yeah.
So, first off, how did you get into music?
I was born into music pretty much. So my grandfather, he's a DJ. I mean, he's 72, but he's still DJing to this day. Literally
Really?
literally every single day, he's DJing. He has a setup set up. He has like this little online radio station that he's been playing around with during COVID. But he also mainly do like clubs and not clubs, but parties and setups. Like growing up, he was like one of the hottest DJs in my city in the DMV. His name was on the radio every Friday and all that stuff. So
Wow.
um, he's all about music. My uncle, or my great uncle actually, he lives overseas, but he's a musician. My father is a musician. I remember being young, being like 9, 10 years old. He would have we would just write lyrics. Me and my sister, my brother, we would just write lyrics. And I was young. I was real young. That was like a bonding. So
That's
we
cool.
yeah, it's definitely in our blood.
Uh-huh. Sure. Wow. So really young, you're writing lyrics with your brother and sister.
Yeah.
And when did you start really were you performing as a hip hop artist first? Like what was the first kind of step? Or did you learn an instrument first aside from writing?
My specialty and what I always came into was writing.
Okay.
Like, I know how to dip and dab with a few instruments here and there, but
Uh-huh.
my specialty is my writing and my vocals.
Sure.
Um, and like my delivery, like I can tell, I can just tell, like that's my God gifted talent when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to, and also my ear for good music. Whether if it's all over the board, but it's my ear for good music. So yeah, I kind of honed in on what I'm very good at, and that's writing.
Sure. And did you start like were you in hip hop groups growing up or like how did you first start into performing?
I actually wasn't. So I don't know if you're familiar, but back in the DMV, back in DC, Maryland, we got something called go-go music.
No, tell me
So
about that.
go-go music is like the origination of, not the origination. It's almost like a next step of jazz and soul music, right?
Right.
Like back in the 50s and the 60s when jazz and soul was really doing its thing. Like that's almost where go-go originated from. Chuck Brown, he's one of the originators. He credited as one of the
Oh, okay.
originators of go-go.
I know
Yeah,
Chuck Brown's music. Okay.
yeah. So he's definitely one of the originators, and it's just been a DMV thing. It's been a culture thing growing up there. So I had a band myself when I was growing up. I was like lead Mike, and my other band I was playing like keyboards and everything. So like, and this was maybe, I think I was probably like 14, 15, 16 years old around the time.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't even taking like a hip hop career or a music career serious at this time. I was just, music was just it. Like it
Uh-huh.
was just music. So
Sure.
um, then, after playing the Go Go's a little bit, that's when I was like, I'm gonna take this music business serious, take hip hop serious. Kind of how it went from there.
How old were you when you decided to take it seriously? And was there a particular moment that you can remember that you decided to make that decision, or it just kind of came?
I was 17. I was 17, and I was already like recording here and there, writing songs, but it wasn't like something that I thought I was gonna do, like for sure, for sure. Cause I remember my dream, so I had two original dreams. It was either music or football, but
Okay.
I could never get good. I could never get good grades in school and all that good stuff. So um, once I realized, okay, I'm not going to the NFL. Music was always something that I did, regardless. But that's when I said, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it a thing. I'm gonna make it full time. And that was 2011 when I decided to make that decision. Actually, 2010, and here we are, 11 years later.
Wow. So once you made that decision, okay, this is going to be my thing. Like, how do you first start trying to cut your teeth doing it? Like, do you were you already performing? I mean, you were in a band prior. Were you already performing around the Maryland area, or like, what was the first like big step you did?
Yeah, me and a couple of my homies, we just started just going around doing local. Because I still got a couple of homies. They like rap too. They in the hip hop scene too. And so we'll just come together and just go to different. Like I remember starting out, one of the first places I started out as far as my music career was Island Cafe. They were I don't think we're not even doing it no more. That's how much of a classic it was. It was like back in 2010, 2011. Island Cafe was like a showcase spot, like an open mic spot where you could just go. A lot of people didn't even know because at this time the hip hop scene and the DMV wasn't on yet. It was still, everybody was still on go go. It was all go go. So at this time, I'm all right now, and I'm going to Island Cafe. I'm getting on the bus. I'm getting on the train. Literally, so we pulling up to the showcase or the open mic, maybe about 20, 25 people in there sometimes, or maybe less.
Uh-huh.
And then we just grinding, just being motivated and building that up, continue doing that, releasing songs, shooting music videos, doing the whole 9 yards. But it wasn't until 2016, honestly, is when I started to learn the business. And when I started to learn the business, that's when I realized like I could have been releasing music a lot more professional. Because
Mm-hmm.
at that time, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the old mixtape site days.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, like the live mixtapes, the dot piffs, it was even Spinrilla. It
Mm-hmm.
was a few different platforms. So by that time, uploading on dot piff and maybe SoundCloud sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of all I really knew. But then as I got into the business a little more, we started to learn the business and started to get a more understanding of it.
So first you started doing the mixtapes, posting those up on there and SoundCloud, and then when you said it wasn't until 2016 when you started releasing music more professionally. What would you like? Can you explain that a little bit to me? Was that like when you put something up on Spotify, or like was there?
Yeah, so 2016, not only just distributing, through actual distributor, but understanding PR campaigns or,
Ah, sure.
you know, um, understanding a marketing plan behind a release rather than just slapping it out. Understanding that there's always a plan behind it. There's probably about a month or two before the release that's led up to the release. So all of that was, I mean, I never went to music business school. So if I didn't go and acquire that knowledge, I would have not known. But that just goes from years and years and years of doing it wrong, and then you're like, wait a minute, like something ain't right. Because eventually, what happens is, especially in the music business period, is that somebody always come and does it for the artist, unless the artist knows how to do it for themselves. So in my case, I didn't have nobody to, come and sign me earlier on when everything was hyped up and and I'm glad it didn't happen that way, because then I would have been ignorant to what I need to learn. That person would have had the funds and they would have had the knowledge, and I was just been, their toy for the moment.
Right.
So it made me take the longer path of learning the business and learning what the labels do, learning what the managers do on how to get a song out there to the market, and properly release the song so it can have the best chance of success, depending on the budget. So I took the time to study that with a homie of mine, and ever since then I actually love learning about the music business. I read about the music business every day. I love it just as much as making the music now.
And so from there, like once you start to get the plan, you're learning about, the industry. Is that when you decided to make the move to LA, or like how did you get to Los Angeles? What was the decision there?
To be honest, bro, I think it was just like I don't know, music wise, yeah. But I feel like even if I was back home and I still learned what I learned, I could have made an impact there too. And I kind of already had a little following there as well. But for me, it was just change of pace. I mean, it was more so just like a personal thing. Right? I want to be around more like-minded business individuals, like at that time. And then, once I get to where I want to be, I could bring it back home. You know what I mean? So, just putting myself around people who are driven to go in a direction that I want to go into, but they also got that discipline, so that I can learn from as well. And then on top of that, it means beautiful as hell out here, bro.
It's hard to beat, right?
It's hard to beat. Once I saw them houses on the mountains, I said, "Oh hell no, I'm coming back." Yeah.
I love that. Well, I want to know, once you get out there. Okay, so where were you? You put out 2 EPs already last year, and you've got another one coming out, right? Time Is Now Part 3.
Yeah, Part 3 that comes out on the 23rd.
Okay. So you've put out 2 last year. Where were you in 2019? What were you up to when this whole pandemic hit? Because that's kind of what leads into what you've got going now, right? I mean, I want to talk to you about this tour you put together, but so like 2019, end of 2019, and in the early 2020, like where were you at? Did Time Is Now come out before the pandemic or after?
Nah, it actually came out after the pandemic, to be honest. So I'll tell you a little story.
Okay.
So Time Is Now, originally I got that idea. It wasn't even an EP idea. I was thinking about putting on like a little summertime day party out here called Time Is Now in LA, because this is like the scene for it. And I've actually threw a gig out here before, like a creative gig that I performed that last time in 2019, and it was pretty successful. So I'm like, I'm gonna throw an event called Time Is Now. It's gonna be like the biggest summer bash of LA or in LA that day. That's what I was thinking at the time. So boom, then COVID hit. That goes out the window. Sure. But then I realized all the resources that I was putting into that it wasn't really like a passion of mine to do that. At
Mhm.
least not right now. I would love to do that soon, but it wasn't a passion of mine to do that. So I realized like I could have been. I feel like I was avoiding what I really want to do, and I was put more of my funds in, into my business and into my brand. And when COVID hit, I kind of had no choice. It got to the point where I had no choice because I was gonna put thousands into this day party essentially,
Uh-huh.
when I could have been putting thousands into my own craft, and I'll reap the benefits later on where I can really fill my own festival. So yeah, so next you know, Time Is Now became a EP and a song, and I'm happy it went that way because COVID made me realize I was bullshit.
Hmm. So then when do you start this tour that you did? Tell me about the story. I read about it, but I want to hear you tell everybody else like the idea behind it and how it all
Yeah.
kind of came together.
So you know how when venues were still unsure about when they was gonna open up and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So I'm not gonna wait to perform. I love to perform. I love to do music. Like that's what I do. And on
Right.
top of that, I finally found one of the main reasons why I'm in LA in the first place. It took me 3 years to figure this out, but this is the best place for me to set up and perform. Like anywhere, like Hollywood Boulevard. I'm near Hollywood Boulevard right now. Hollywood Boulevard, Venice, Santa Monica, Vegas. I'm like, damn, I could have been utilizing these areas all this time. So I said, I'm gonna set up a tour, like a real deal tour. I'm gonna have the dates, the times, and locations, and we're gonna live stream it, merch, everything. And I'm not gonna wait for no venues. By January this year, people started coming out, even though it wasn't fully open. People was already out, kind of sort of in January. So I
Uh-huh.
was able to go out to the Boulevard or to Venice and still have a good crowd and tourists as well. So that's where the idea came from. It just came from not waiting. I just wanted it. I wanted to perform.
I love that. And you just yeah, you just went out and started street performing, right? I mean, I didn't really so
Yeah,
you live streamed it. I mean, that's such a cool creative thing. I
yeah,
hadn't heard
yeah. It
anyone
was,
else doing that. Just, you know what? I'm just going to go set up outside. I don't care less. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't need a venue.
That's how it was pretty much. We live streamed and everything, and it had merch giveaways, and all the good stuff too. So it was nice. Vegas was the last one that I just did, and then we set up a few more dates starting the end of July.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And then
Yeah,
so time has now started out as an idea for a party, turned into an EP, and
yeah.
then time is what? Tell me about time is now too. When did that come out? Was that during this street performance thing or prior to that?
It came out. It came out right before. I think it
Okay.
came out. It came out right before. I think Time Is Now 2 came out. I can't remember. I know it came out in 2020, but it came out right before the idea of and I don't think I think when it came out, that's when the idea kind of came about.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to keep going as far as Time Is Now 2 goes. I just want I got so much to all my creative juices flowing, so I just want to keep going.
Mhm.
No slowing down.
Is there any or do you have? I mean, are you going to keep doing the tour this way, or are you going to try to get into a venue, or is it like why I can perform to just as many people outside as I can inside a venue?
I'm working it. Um, I think it's gonna happen eventually,
Uh huh.
but I'm kind of right now just more so focused on building up the brand, building up the audience, and when these venues want to contact me for something, then I'll be here.
Sure. That's cool. So you're currently on tour then, right? So to speak.
Yeah, we took a break this month, but we start back at the end of July. We took a
Wow.
break in June, my bad.
And are you gonna? Where are you headed from LA? Are you gonna go up the coast, down? What's the plan for the tour?
So the next wave of dates, we got 4 solid dates. Because I'm only gonna go from this time because I went from January till May. So we took a break, and then we're gonna go from end of July up until the first week of September, I believe, or second week of September. But
Wow. How far did
we're
you
gonna
go on
do
that first tour, real quick?
Vegas was the furthest,
Okay.
and then San Diego I have in August, and then Vegas again for Labor Day weekend.
Oh, wow. Where in San Diego?
One of the hot spots, like that's one thing tricky about like performing on the streets is figuring out where.
Where
So
to go? Sure.
we're still working on that. I've never been to San Diego, so I'm still working on it now. But I'm definitely doing San Diego.
Okay. I'm from San Diego. I can give you some spots.
Oh, you
I
are?
would,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
there you go.
yeah. I would. I mean, I'm thinking like tourist. You could do real well, probably around like Belmont Park, Mission Beach. There where the big
Mhm,
roller coaster
mhm.
is. There's a roll, not a big roller coaster, but there's a roller coaster down there. It's right on the boardwalk of the coast, and a
Okay.
lot of people cruise
Yeah,
down there.
I saw that when I looked it up. Belmont Park. I definitely
Yeah,
had that on my list.
yeah. Belmont Park, or I'd say like Gaslamp area downtown. There's a lot of people that you can get some foot traffic down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gasland. That's what they call it.
Gas lamp. Yeah, like a gas
Oh,
lamp.
Gaslamp.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd suggest
Okay.
those. And I would even suggest maybe like University Avenue, 30th and University Avenue, like North Park area. There's a lot of foot traffic there.
All right. I'm writing these down as you say it too.
Yeah. I mean, I think those would be cool spots. I think people would get a, you know,
For sure.
yeah, you definitely get some eyes on you there. And as I
For
said, I
sure. For
think what you're
sure.
doing is really cool. I think it's really cool.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And then the most recent song you've just dropped is called High Road. Why don't you tell me about that one?
Oh yeah, that's called High Road. That's one of those songs like the explanation. It's one of those situations where I just felt like I just need to take the high road on the. So a lot of my expression comes in the form of my music. So I'm not really much of I want to say talkative person in person, but
Uh-huh.
I think my more of me comes in my music. So like you could probably be sitting down talking to me for an hour, but you probably would learn more about me through my music just because that's more of a that's it's like a diary,
Uh-huh.
where all of me comes out. So um High Road was one of those situations where I felt like, well, situation happened in personal life, family life. I don't want to get too deep into it, but
Uh-huh.
I had a choice to make. I could have either, got pissed off and reverted to an old habit of mine, or I could have just took the high road and let it go, and then just keep on moving forward, and then use that as ammunition. So for my own like, so high road is that's exactly what it means. Like whatever, not just for me personally, whatever situation anybody got going on, um, the high road is right there. You can either, oh, my bad. You can either take the high road, or you could, you could sit right here and play around with it. So for me, it was about taking the high road.
I love it. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, man, for telling me about your story and all the cool things you have. I mean, the idea you have is so rad. Like the street performing tour, I think is such a cool creative thing. And those are some cool spots. Like I said in San Diego, definitely you should check those out at least.
For sure.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
I
for
do.
that too.
Yeah, I do have one more question for you before I let you go today. I want to know
Mhm.
if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
For sure. My biggest advice for any artist is to learn your business. Learn your business, because we sometimes forget that it is a business. So any artist needs to learn their business, right? Because they're their own entrepreneur as well. Again, we rather not have somebody come in and do the job for us. We rather have somebody come in and assist us with the job, rather than a situation where somebody comes in and they have all the knowledge and power over you, and you are more so a slave to them rather than a business partner to them. So that's what, you know, that's where these major labels get caught up in the heat sometimes, because and the artists blame the labels. Well, that's because the artists didn't have the education prior to the signing the deal. You had the education prior, you would understand clearer what kind of situation it was, and then you can put yourself in a situation where you got leverage and you could go into a partnership rather than the label doing everything for you. Because that's the way they rather a partnership truly, but they know a lot of artists just don't even want to go get the knowledge. So that's my advice to any aspiring artists that learn the business.